Can you see me in here?
Yeah, oh yeah. Ruining another camera.
My name is Godfrey Henry Oliver Palmer, and I was born in Jamaica in 1940.
Gosh, it's a big setup. Carmen Esme, E-S-M-E, Steele. I'm Mrs. Monroe.
Lasita Alexander Reed. 20th of May, 1931. In Manchester, Jamaica.
History is, thankfully and finally, beginning to accord a rightful place to those men and women of the Windrush generation.
You look beautiful. How are you?
It is, I believe, crucially important that we should truly see and hear these pioneers who stepped off the Empire Windrush at Tilbury in June 1948, only a few months before I was born, and those who followed over the decades, to recognize and celebrate the immeasurable difference that they, their children, and their grandchildren have made to this country. Many served with distinction in the British Armed Forces during the Second World War, just as their fathers and grandfathers had in the First World War. Once in Britain, they worked hard, offering their skills to rebuild a country during peacetime, and seeking opportunities to forge a better future for themselves and their families. When they arrived on our shores with little more than what they were able to carry with them, few could hardly have imagined then how they and those that followed them would make such a profound and permanent contribution to British life.
They were often the ex-servicemen to come back to Britain to build the country up.
During the war, a lot of things that should be done wasn't done.
Britain was flattened by the Germans, and a lot of West Indians come.
There was a shortage of workers here. England have the money, but Jamaica have the men.
I heard about the Windrush 3 months before it came.
I booked my tickets £28 something, I don't remember, some pence.
And I was looking forward to it.
This year, as we honor the legacy and achievements of the Windrush generation, I dearly hope that we can continue to embrace differences, listen to each other's stories, and learn from one another's experiences. It is these stories that help light the path of progress and remind us of a fundamental truth, that though we might all be different, every individual, no matter their background, has something special to contribute to our society in a way that strengthens us all.
every day that you're approached by the king.
To have the king commission a portrait of me, that is something beyond my expectations.
Honestly, when they first emailed me, I thought it was a scam. I was like, okay, you know. So the king selected me, was like, yeah, right.
And your sister and your sister is an Olympian.
3-time Olympian.
Yes, well, I don't know which sport.
400 meters.
Oh, amazing. A lot of my work is about escapism. I'm gonna get right in here, don't mind me. And in this sense, I'm engaging with a man and his family and his story in a very real way.
That would be perfect. Jessie's a very remarkable woman. She's from an incredible generation and she's seen so much history and it's nice to be able to document just a tiny bit of that history. I'm here to take a few photos of her and do a few sketches and try and take something back to my studio that I can use in her portrait.
What do you think? Leave it.
I thought you wouldn't fit to say.
As an artist, it's opportunities like this that offer me a chance to tell people's stories that I'm sure consider themselves unseen.
Yes.
It's nice.
It's important to understand history. A project like this, where I guess we're dealing with a lot of histories that, I don't know, oftentimes feel swept under the rug. It's good to get, like, you know, from the source, and then maybe you can make a start in a direction of rectifying some of those gaps in some of those stories, some of those bits that are missing.
Well, this is Clifton Powell. He's going to be doing your portrait.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, pleasure meeting you.
This is new to me as well, you know that. I have to call my niece on my landline to ask her what's going on here.
I was so nervous when I first met Carmen because I've literally grown up seeing her on television. The question of the Windrush generation, which is my parents' generation, that question of migrating from one place and all the kinds of expectations, and then the actual what happens once that move has taken place, and that person's perspective on the life they've lived here. So those things were immediately fascinating and interesting.
Have you had your portrait painted before?
No.
It's going to be your first time. The photos on the wall has inspired me what family means to you, you know, and it's a beautiful thing that I will try as much as possible to touch based on the process of making the portrait. I'm actually working on my UK visa documents. I'm drawing on them, and I feel like it's very symbolic for us. When I go back to Ghana, I'm gonna like put all the images together. I'm looking forward to bringing your portrait to life.
My name is John Mitchell Richards. I was born in Jamaica, the parish of Portland, the district of Fair Prospect. The boys are just call me Big John.
Alfred Gardner, born in Kingston, Jamaica, 27 January 1926.
Still, sir, Augustus Bernard. I was born 1928.
I was born in, at the time, British Guyana. Oh gosh, it's very difficult. I have to sort of come away again in order to tell you what it was like, because it was just like home. How do you describe home, you know?
My family was very Orthodox Methodist, and so I inherited that Christian background with discipline and hard work.
It was a big family. 11 siblings of us and the parents. My father died early, in the early 50s. So I stay home with my mother to look after the younger ones. I don't remember some of it. But one thing I decided I wasn't going to steal to help the younger ones. I work and I work.
My father sent me to learn dressmaking. And when I small, I used to make my own clothes for myself.
I did everything a boy should do, everything. At one time I thought I could do anything a boy could do. I did.
I didn't know that there was a life to come.
Edna Mae Henry. I was born in Jamaica.
When I had the phone call about they wanted to do a portrait for my mum, I was over the moon. I kept it quiet for a while before I even told my mother. I think it's fantastic. She deserved this because of what she contributed for Wales.
I have not been to Wales before. It's part of my process to dress my models, and I decided that it might be fun just to spend some time with her, to get to know her, and to warm up together over shopping, because who doesn't like to shop?
Oh, that's fantastic.
To know that I'm painting somebody from Jamaica, the same place that I'm from, it's an experience. It's a new experience for me. It shouldn't be, but it is,
Oh, that's lovely.
My name is Gilda Eunice Oliver, and I was born in Westmoreland, Bay Road District.
So I was wondering if you like this, with like a blouse underneath, or a scarf, like a silk scarf or something like that. I don't know much right now. I'm looking forward to speaking to her. I do know that she worked as a healthcare professional, and that she's a very proud woman and raised a family here, and has, I think, probably as deep connection to her Jamaican roots as she does to her British roots.
I spent 23 years in the hospital. Nursing assistant.
I was a nursing auxiliary. I wash the patient, I feed them, comfort them, let them feel good. We have a laugh sometimes.
There's some that can't feed themselves, and we have to feed them. We have to bath them, you have to dress them, and sometimes some of them dirty themselves, and we have to take them to the bathroom, and we have to bath them. I didn't like just what I like to put them in the bath, give them a good bath. I know that they are clean, dress them, and put them in the chair to sit.
Sometimes they try to be rough to me, but I didn't take it no mind. They don't pay no mind.
Some of the residents, them, as soon as they stick to you. Because we were so kind to them, they stick to you. It was a hard job. It was hard. To be truthful, I didn't know I would spend 23 years in the hospital.
I wanted to look exactly like her. Everything here is about Mrs. Oliver. At the end of the day, everything connects, and it comes down to a point. Mrs. Oliver is the point. Because this is going to touch our soul to see ourselves in a painting.
I really just want to try to pull her story out of this. Hello. Hi. How are you? That's important for me in the making of the portrait, is to just know how she feels about this, know how she feels about the life that she lived here. I just want you to try on tonight.
Yes.
Is this one.
I used to do long hours. I used to work 7 in the morning till 8 in the evening.
I've got 5 girls and 3 boys, yeah. In the night, when I go to work, I kiss them and say good night. And in the morning, sometimes, if they're on holiday, they don't wake up so early, so before they wake up, I come. And so that sometimes they don't realize that I go to work. The Lord has been very good to me. And the country has been good to me as well, because it allows me to have a job that I can get to and look after the children, because it's not everywhere you work, you can get a job to fit in with your family, like the children.
But some of the patient then was, prejudice. This girl come up and she said, "Oh, I don't want your tea." And I always say, "All right then, you go. If you don't want your tea, you go, you lose weight." And when I'm going out, she come back and she said, "Are you here tomorrow morning?" And I always said, "Yes, I'm here tomorrow morning again." But I just laugh it off and walk away from me. I didn't think nothing about them, because, they're not as sensible as me, so therefore I just leave them alone.
How does she feel about this commission? How does she feel about her relationship to her own identity? And to bring a deeper meaning into this for me, just through her words and not my own.
I'm proud of myself to be so faithful to the NHS and the ward that I work, because I work hard on that one.
All right, I think we're good.
My father left us in 1947. He went to America. His job that he was doing probably wasn't making enough money to look after the family.
You leave Jamaica, for there was no work and a crowded house. Yeah, Jamaica was a crowded house.
When you live in your own country, you always feel not too great to leave it, because you live in your family and all your friends. And that's how things goes. Part of life.
It was quite normal. It wasn't unusual. This is a result of our history. Historically, slavery provided work in a sense that you were working. However, when slavery ended, then the colonial period was one where men walked about looking for work.
You don't know what you're going to make until you make it. I guess it's just between now and the finish line. It's just attempts. Knowing that there's going to be a struggle. Glasses off. Knowing that it's a process of not giving up, and that's what will take me there. Same as last time, I guess. I'll do like 5-minute sketches. My challenge is to make something that Big John feels is familiar, resembles him, appreciated by himself, and whoever he deems important to see it as well. He's a role model, so let's try and put him in a position of being that role model. I noticed that he's in a lot of photographs from back in the day. So I don't know, to me he's almost like this handsome pin-up kind of character.
I was told that the photograph was in one of the papers. I like to get smart, I like to dress up. If I'm going out, I like to be good. I like to be on top of the tree. To have a photograph in the national press and things like that. You feel good. Let's put it that way, you feel good.
There's a certain generation who, if it wasn't for the way they carried themselves, the way they survived, then, we might not be here with such strength, such levels of pride, able to stand our ground. So yeah, that's what someone of John's age and energy represents to me. All my work is about investigation and, rediscovery for the kid who I was at school, who loved reading stories but never felt reflected by them. Any opportunity to build on that, to share that, grow that, that's my cake.
I'm here to go to Alfred's house, meet him for the first time, introduce myself, and yeah, get to know him a little bit so that it can inform what sort of painting I want to produce for him and get photos. Because I am a realist painter and I work from photos predominantly, so it's all about the photo. Hi! The better the photo, the better the painting will be. Hello! Nice to meet you. I've got really cold hands, just so you know. I want to capture the true essence of Alfred, just like the kind of normal man that he is. I think a lot of paintings can add a level of sort of pomp, which I'm not about. I just want to capture something realistic and raw and honest. I'm going to do a hyper detailed portrait for you. So the more the camera catches, the better. I do know a little bit about Alfred already because I did some research. And it looks like he came from Jamaica to England on the Windrush and he joined the RAF. My granddad was recruited for the RAF in 1958. And I said, did you enjoy it? He was like, not really. What about you?
Well, you came a wrong time. When I came here, the war was still on. The best thing was get to know where you were, get to know the people. Mm-hmm. And keep your nose clean.
Keep your nose clean?
Don't get involved with anything.
What do you feel is the key aspect of who you are and what you want represented in the painting?
Well, it's up to you.
Sometimes you can have really serious portraits, but you've got such a great laugh. I feel like I want to capture some of the candid nature of your personality, really.
Yeah, a lot of memories go back into good reggae music. A lot of good memories. Yep. All the teaching was English. Everything you did in Jamaica was English.
How else do you teach anybody? It has to be like that, in British Guyana.
One of my first experiences about Britain was when in Jamaica you are taught many, many songs. That's part of education. You sang a lot in schools. One day I went home and my aunts said, what did you do at school today, boy? And I said, we sang songs. And she said, which one? Could you sing us one? And I said, yeah. And I sang, my love is like a red, red rose. And my aunts went silent. And then they said, why are they teaching you to sing these dirty songs for when you're just a boy?
The English history book was about 2.5 inches thick. The Jamaican history book was about 1/4 inch. So I just didn't like it. It was a big taboo to me, English history. I would not learn it.
After high school, you would be working for the government? Or, as time went by and it became obvious that another thing you could do was to leave Guyana and come to the mother country.
The mother country, the term, was used often, during your education. So most people of the Windrush generation, like myself, were not formally educated to, because they didn't go to private schools or posh schools. But we knew, or we were told, a lot about Britain.
Obviously wearing gloves to protect my fancy nails from the paint.
I had a degree of ambition that drove me. I felt also that I could achieve more here. And Linda Beatrice Hay, and I was born on 26th of January 1933, which meant that the 26th of January this year I'm 90 years of age.
I'll start off by sectioning off the different parts of the canvas. Using acrylic paints, spray bottle. I use these large brushes. I believe they're like painting brushes for like homes, but they're really thick and they hold a lot of water and colour. Hello, Miss Linda.
Greetings.
How are you?
That you would recognize because that is a picture of the Caribbean scene. I think it's a Negril.
Okay.
That is in Jamaica.
Usually when I'm approaching the painting, I try to find the connection between myself and the sitter. So Miss Linda is from Jamaica, but she's had her hand in like a lot of different, countries, a lot of different spaces and communities. So she says she classifies herself as a Caribbean woman, but with African roots and like this worldly impact. When she was actually saying that, we were actually looking at a painting by an African artist.
This is a picture representing an African village.
I guess the colours in that as well has inspired the colours that I've chosen for this piece.
These are some of my earliest memories of my childhood. And this is actually my first British passport picture.
Oh, really?
My mother, she in fact saved to ensure that I had the opportunities that she didn't have, because in those days, girls were more inclined to be married and, to be home-based. This is when I was appointed the first woman of color to the Independent Police Commission, and this was my first day at office. I was appointed by the Home Secretary at the time, who was Kenneth Clark. I was responsible for a number of police forces throughout the kingdom.
Wow, you look like you're ready for business as well in this picture.
Yes, some of the largest forces in the country. I oversee the police discipline within the legislation.
Being the first Black woman in this role, how do you feel maybe your experiences growing up influenced the way you approached?
That is important. My experience of growing up in what I would describe as a humble home, but a home that gave me great sense of purpose, grounded in character, discipline, respect, and more important, my Christian beliefs came from my early upbringing.
Why is this photograph so important to you?
Because it, in perhaps a small way, helped to break down the barriers, cultural barriers, to set an example for others to follow. And I have to say, what Jamaica gave me, which was a strong sense of identity of who I am. So you can be British, and you can be Caribbean, or you can Jamaican. And I am very proud of both
I guess as an artist, when I first see this photo, because my practice is, uplifting the Black female experience, trying to bring light to our stories and our accomplishments, and understanding the background of this image, and then seeing how proud you are, and understanding your background and your upbringing. I think this is like the perfect image to work from, to represent you.
Yeah.
Somebody said that you're the first Black professor in Scotland, and I found it very surprising because I've never seen myself in that way. I wasn't made a professor because I was Black. I was made a professor because I started my research in 1964, and this was 1980 odd, can't remember the date. And therefore I felt I'd achieved something which I probably deserved.
I think a portrait at its best is a likeness, but I think when you can reveal something about the inner life of a person and how the portrait is rendered, I think that's when something more interesting occurs. So I'm really hopeful that I'm able to get a bit more of his interior life. Sir Jeff, how are you? What a pleasure to meet you.
Nice, it's nice meeting you too. I did a degree in honours botany. I had no idea what I was going to do with the honours degree, no idea. I went back to London to my mum, and I went to the Labour Exchange, and I stood in the queue, and I went up and I said to the guy, I'm looking for a job, and he said, well, what can you do? And I said, I've got a degree. And he turned to his friend and he said, here, John, he says, this guy's got a temperature. Degree, temperature. And he was making fun of the fact that there was a Black guy in the Labour Exchange at Seven Sisters Road who said he got a degree. He didn't believe it. And one may think, oh, that was racist then. A couple of days ago, somebody said, who are you? And I said, on your list you'll see it's Professor Sir Jeff Palmer. And she said, is he the person you're looking for? And that was last week.
My own father is someone who, I think experienced success despite great odds. I know at some point Sir Jeff Palmer was a potato peeler even after he finished university, and a lot of that is evidence of the structural racism that he was working against. And I think with figures like him, we see their accomplishments, and they hide a lot of the scars. And I think, for me, I'm interested in where the discomfort lies and what he might be keeping beneath the surface, and how we can bring that into a richer understanding of who he is. So my parents are from Ghana.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so fathers are not expected to raise their children.
Well.
The women raise the children.
Mm-hmm.
And, and...
So my mum would leave me with her sisters.
Yes.
And when I was leaving Jamaica, my grandaunt, a lovely lady, I'll show a picture of her, who was the boss.
Yeah.
My grandaunt in Kingston. And
Yeah.
she called me over and wrapped me in newspaper, my chest. So I wasn't that cold when I got to...
Newspaper?
Yeah.
The actual newspaper?
The newspaper she was reading.
She wrapped it around
She
your
got
chest?
me to take my shirt off and wrap my chest in it.
And then you put your shirt on?
Put my shirt on and got the plane.
So you were insulated?
I was insulated.
With paper?
With newspaper.
I see plane when I was home, fly over me, but I didn't realize. I didn't realize I would travel into one of the planes.
How did I come? I came by plane. I came by Boeing 707.
London compared with Georgetown in Guyana, vast. You think, my God, yeah. And you can see you're able to actually look at those buildings that you've read about.
Well, it's exciting. Feel excited. It's hear about Britain, see the world biggest. And I want to know what Britain is like. Okay. But you're young and well, I wasn't that young. I was 26, but still it's young to leave home and don't know where you're going, what to expect and so forth.
It was quite fascinating, exciting and sometimes a little bit depressing. Not just the weather, but some of the behaviors. You thought, why would anybody do that?
I come down here with the money from London. I was satisfied with Newport. It was brilliant. Well, Newport, everybody was so friendly, black and white. It put me in mind of a district home. I came here this Saturday, and the Monday, I get a job straight away. Assembly, car batteries and lorry batteries. And that's it. I worked there for 3 months short of 27 years. That's the only job I had in Newport. A row houses go right through, and that's where I lived first. That's 29 Mill Parade was here. Yeah, they knocked them all down. When I was in London, I have a payable job, and I couldn't get anywhere up there to buy. I could, but the agent told us not to buy the houses in Battersea where I was living. For they was going to knock them down. And them houses there right now. Yeah, just on Latchmere. But, things was going on with, they see the blacks buying houses and they decided, well, they put a stop to it.
Have you heard the saying? No blacks, no Irish, no dogs. That's what they said. You didn't expect us to have that type of hardship. We have it up to now. It doesn't go away. It's still around.
You might heard about the Teddy Boys and them. That was in the early 60s. They late 70s, early 60s. They was vicious, but still we managed to come through them. They was cruel lot. They used the bicycle chain. That's what they used to hit people with. And that cut you up. You get cut anywhere you hit you. So that was the way of life here. And we come through it. So there's a lot I see. And but it's human being. We shouldn't be like that to each other, but what you going to do?
There's a lot of little things, but I'm a person like this, so I don't take on everything, because I just said sometimes people say things to you and they don't even realize that it is wrong. So you have to look at it and say it is wrong, and everything you jump to it, you have to say, well, I wouldn't like this, so I forgive her. Let's just say I forgive him. Let's just say. But I remember I will just tell you this one, more than one, but I will say this one. I went into the shopping mall and there was a long queue, so I stood to the back of the queue. And I went there until when my turn, this white lady, she stepped in front of me and she go up to the front. So I said, I was here before you. She says to me, go back to your country. I said, I pay my fare to come here. You pay your fare to go to the bull ring?
I met Norma in the dance hall. the Mecca dance hall in Leeds. And we danced. And she told me, I mean, if I want to really go to that, I had to see her parents. So I decided, oh, I'll go and see her parents. I went to the house and she invited me in, I walked in, and her mother greeted me. Her father was in the kitchen out somewhere, and he just walked in, and all he said was, "What's he doing here? Get him out of here." I just turned without saying a word and walked out. And as I'm opening the door, she just came and said, "I'm coming with you." And that was that.
You went into a pub and the landlord was putting bottles on the table for white guys to throw them at you. And you had to run. You know, the police was called and the police did not turn up. You then, you know, a judge is making a decision in a court about whether you're evicted or not. A school says you're educationally subnormal, but you didn't see it as race because we weren't educated in the British colonial education that was race.
With each canvas, there's lots of preparation. Much of it you cannot see. There are these kind of subterranean levels underneath paper and cardboard. These are hundreds of small pieces of paper that have been adhered to the surface of newspaper by hand. In the case of Sir Jeff, where he talks about, for example, being wrapped in newspaper by his aunts because he didn't have a coat. And so I love the pairing between the use of newspaper and paper here to prepare him in a very similar sense. There's a conceptual tie to his story that I enjoy, but I do think that this idea of working with scraps, working with what's left over, and trying to imbue it with a sense of dignity is very appropriate for this portrait.
One of the things that I tried to avoid getting into the pitfall on is that everything was horrid. It wasn't. Although I know that prejudices against people of my color existed, what I did even at those young earlier years is to rise above what many people rightly describe as discrimination and racial discrimination, or not allow it to nibble away and became a burden to you, so that you become disaffected and disenfranchised, but that you tried to see the positive side of life.
It was just disappointing, but when it was good, it was absolutely incredible. You thought, amazing people. But then you had people who took naturally a dislike to you as though you had done them a wrong. You know what I mean? So what have I done? Just being me could create this? Just being who I am, another human being, could create this. Well, I can't think. That was very disappointing, and very. You kind of just swallowed the lump and carried on.
Carmen Munro is one of Britain's most experienced actresses. She's been in the business for over 25 years, working in both theatre and television, and will be well remembered for her performances in General Hospital and The Fosters. Most recently, she starred in Channel 4's popular comedy series Desmond's.
I saw myself on the stage at the earliest when I could think. How many plays are there that's written that's got a black person in it? Somebody's got to be brave enough to say, well, I'm going to cast her. You know, and that speaks for itself. It's not in your literature. It's not in the canon. You're not there. And if you are there, you'd be what we saw at home. You'd be standing there with a tuft of hair, a bone through your nose, and a loincloth. And Tarzan would be the master. So that was black. Your agent, if you got a black agent, would suggest you, and no, we're not seeing, she wouldn't be right or whatever. Without a look in, but you know, you struggle, you keep on, because there is going to be someone who is going to say, yeah, come on, let's, you know, and you're in. What else are you going to do? Just not do it? Just decide it's too hard? I can't imagine that. I cannot imagine that.
I'm looking for the multi-millionaire rock star, movie actor, and international businessman who drinks in this pub.
My knowledge of her really has been on the screen. And so I wanted to do a print of her where she's in a cinema looking at images of herself. There's a very important essay about the way in which we start to fall in love with a person that we see on the screen because of the sheer light that emanates from the screen. So I was thinking about this in relation to Carmen. So this is why I moved down the route of print rather than drawing, and definitely not painting, because I don't paint. The idea is that these are kind of prompts for you to kind of think about, oh yes, I remember doing that.
Everywhere I worked, I was the only black person. Which at the time, it just seemed, well, you know, these are early days. I have a mission in a way. I didn't see it as such, but I deeply held something in there saying, I have a mission to be in these places so that black people could be in these places. And then we started making our own situation. We you know, own companies and helping the other person and so on and so forth. But it was difficult and very frustrating. Wonderful. I was very fortunate to be constantly working at something or other, and in some other capacity, some other group, some other something, at the Edinburgh Festival, at something groundbreaking for us to be seen in that capacity. I was always there.
I filmed her and photographed her, and out of that series of stills, I've chosen an image that I hope she'll like, that I think really captures her brilliance. I hope. That's quite delicate. I mean,
that was my initial thought.
She glows, actually, doesn't she?
Yes, no, it's really good.
If you ever feel like you're in a room and you're the only one in the room, that's the way I feel at that time. But then you start to meet friends now and here and there and little bit, and then they get up together. And then you say, well, this time we have a little thing about that people know, because a lot of people didn't believe that. You know, people didn't believe that we meet such a horrible time. But we survived.
Big John has been a pioneer, and the work that he has done to challenge some of these stereotype images that people have of us, these are the things that will live on.
You go to these meetings, He did his marching and things like that. He did that because there was nobody taking up for us. We have a lot of things to march for.
We have marched against apartheid. We have marched against bad housing. We have marched against police brutality. We have marched against, in terms of some of the employment laws that has been enacted.
We just want a fair play. Fair. What belongs to us, we get it. Fair. We don't want to take your things away. We don't want to fight. We don't want that thing, everything. We just want people to listen.
I'm glad that Big John is still around to ensure that information is passed on to our younger people, and it will continue.
We have a long way to go, a very, very, very long way. I won't see the end of it.
Grandma?
Oh, look at this. Camera's waiting again for me today. Gracious me. Me don't care how tired I am. I have to find time for people, to look after them, pray with them. Sometimes when I'm here now, I'm at home, I ring them and talk with them.
I love the way her. She's beautiful, lovely lady.
Down the mountain, the river, and it brings refreshing wherever it goes. Through the valleys and over.
In 2007, my dear mother decided at the age of 77 that she wanted to set up a group for older people. And she's very loved in the group, and as you can see, she's quite a feisty lady, and what she decides she's going to do, she'll do it. I feel quite proud of her, actually.
Yeah.
I just see some things to be done and I just do it. I don't wait to be asked, I just get on and do it, and that's me. And they would tell me off, you know.
She was born when women, especially black women, were heavily, there was so much against them, and she rose above it and did things that were amazing. And yeah, she's really inspirational.
My name is Jessie Stevens with a PH. I'm born in Castries, St. Lucia, West Indies, in the year 1927.
Mummy was a police liaison officer. In the middle of the night, the police would come and pick Mummy up so that she could go down to help some of these kids who had problems. For a black woman to be working with the police at that time was very awkward because people never trusted the police, so therefore they wouldn't trust her. We used to get picked up by the Black Mariah, which was a big van with the police in it, and they would stop us, they would search us, and it was really uncomfortable. It was your civil rights were being taken away from you. It was a very heavy period. But she didn't care. She thought she had a duty to do. She felt she needed to really help the community and help the youngsters that were having issues and problems.
They needed someone at the time, All those that were members of the police, these are all men. I was the only woman, and I thought, but some of the police officers didn't like the idea. I was called out and I went. And when I got there, he said to me, the detective doesn't want you. And I turned my back. I came home. Then the phone rang. It was a detective. He told me he's been waiting on me. I said, but I was there, and your sergeant said that that you didn't need me. He said, how could he say so? I never told him I didn't need you, right? So, so he said to me, I have the little boy here, I need you to be here. If I had not attended to that little boy, he would be locked up. You see, he would be locked up, and I felt that that little boy, 10-year-old, shouldn't be locked up. You know, what has he done? All he's stolen some food stuff, something like that, you know, because he's hungry, you know. He's, you know. Yes. But that's the only way. You have to be in there for you to know what's going on, to understand it, you know. You couldn't do it on the outside. Yeah.
Oh, I've had a beautiful life. Beautiful. All the way.
I think had it not been for people like her working in the NHS, doing most of the jobs that others wouldn't do, I'm not sure where we'd get to. And I think it's important that Britain does not forget the contribution of the Windrush generation.
After that Britain, I've been lucky in England. I have a good life, so I can't knock it.
They should be given a pat on the back for doing the work that maybe some of the Brits didn't want to do at that time. And they worked hard. You know, like my parents were from that generation. They didn't have credit cards, you know, they didn't run up huge credit bills and stuff like that. They bought everything. And they instilled that in us.
It's important to kind of have a starting point. And I guess the Windrush generation, some of the things that have happened recently, we've seen that, you know, they were supposed to be welcomed, but that welcome wasn't so smooth, and, you know, things like people's passports, and it hasn't been as happy a reception as it could have been. So yeah, I think it's important to now, you know, you lay a flag in the ground and start to, you know, try to do things better.
The Windrush scandal has upset a lot of people, and I know lots is being done to apologise for that, but this is just like another step to show that the Windrush generation is important and that we do care, and they deserve a spot in the Royal Gallery. Like, that's a pretty big thing.
I think it's very significant that the King is, you know, going to put representations of people of the Windrush generation in the Royal Collection. It's an acknowledgement of our history. It's an acknowledgement that we are the same people from the past who wouldn't have their portrait put up in this way. And the very fact that our portrait is being put up in Buckingham Palace, in the Royal Collection, to me, that reflects an understanding that we're one humanity, nothing less. And we've always been that.
Yes, now you come up with the portrait. Probably you know more that I can ask, you know. We'll see that when we go to Buckingham Palace? Oh, good. All right. That's all right.
She deserves it because she has worked continuously through the last, even till now, you know, in the community, for the St. Lucian people, for our people. Even now, you know, at her gooder age, people still, that phone never stops. The phone does not stop ringing, you know, because people are always asking for her assistance all the time.
I can't begin to tell you. It just seems like it's something that happens to somebody else. I've looked at other people in that kind of situation and think, good on you, well done. Is a thank you, isn't it? For me being me. Amazing.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I just cannot wait to see it because she's very, very special to me.
But I think they can like me.
Yeah. So, I know I will cry. I don't know about my mom, but I know definitely I will cry. You know, you just see that. You know? Something that 500 years later, people could still say, look, this woman came from the Caribbean and she achieved this.
I'm looking forward to seeing it because, you know, it will be a surprise because you don't know what is coming. So it will be a surprise.
Would you feel emotional?
No, no, what more?
Sorry. No. I feel emotional.
Nah, I'm just cool about it, man.
Yeah.
My sincere hope is that this project acts as a reminder that our society is woven from diverse threads, each comprising stories of remarkable courage and sacrifice, determination and strength. Though drawn from different parts of the world, they collectively enrich the fabric of our national life and the unique tapestry of the Commonwealth. I would like to express my particular thanks to Baroness Fluella Benjamin, OMDBE, the Right Reverend Rose Hudson Wilkin, MBE, Mr. Rudolph Walker, CBE, and Miss Paulette Simpson, CBE, otherwise known as the Windrush Portraits Committee, who were able to help find such wonderful sitters for these portraits.
These stories matter because they haven't been told before. People have been silent. People have carried the pain and the trauma silently, getting on with their lives. Busy, working in the NHS, in the railways, in factories, doing things that other people didn't want to do. Untold stories are now being told. And you're going to see that through this historic portrait project.
Yes, Sergi.
Oh, that is lovely.
Duct tape and crystal tape on 4 cork panels.
Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Wow. Wow.
Fantastic. Isn't it lovely? It's got a personality. I know.
Clifton has done you proud.
He's done a great job. Your mischievous smile. Your twinkle in your eyes. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Beautiful.
What do you think of the clouds?
Sometimes I think I'm dreaming. Because somebody tell me this will happen.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Incredible. Isn't that amazing? That's fantastic. I wasn't expecting to see this, you know. It's so much like me. I could see her life through this portrait. It's something we can all think back and say, yes, this is Jessie, this is my mum.
I think it's wonderful. I think it's, well, you know, it's, I don't know, I'm lost for words for a change. It somehow reflects the Windrush spirit. I think it's, you know, we came and we saw and we conquered.
I like that pink, isn't it? That pink dress outfit's lovely. What do you think about it, Mum?
It's beautiful. It's lovely. Well, I didn't know I looked that pretty. I'm modest as well. Oh, it's beautiful.
I seen how hard my mum worked, and to see from where she came to where she achieved now, I think I thank God for that.
It's too much, I can't even. I feel like crying. I'm crying for happiness. Yes, it's lovely.
I think it's beautiful.
I think it's beautiful. Yeah. If you say so, it's all right. I'm glad about it.
It's a representation of like everything he's been through and like what he's had to overcome, and he's still overcoming to this day. So I feel like it's a true representation of what my granddad's been through.
Nice. It is.
Very special.
It is special.
I'm absolutely speechless.
Absolutely fabulous. Stunning.
It's a wonderful experience to have seen it.
Oh, wow. Actually, but you know what? I see a lot of mother. Yes. Don't you think?
And how it's racing.
This is so deep. You know what I mean? Yeah. This is part now of the history of this place.
Not bad. But it's me.
It's you. It's definitely you.
It's lovely.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Definitely captured it.
I grew up a happy boy. I raised a happy family. But to think, I mean, where am I? In Buckingham Palace. Never thought such a thing would have happened. Never thought such a thing would have happened. She's done a brilliant job.
Absolutely. Every whisker.
No, big job. Very nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
Now, what do you think of your portrait?
It's very wise.
Because did you come over in 1948?
Yes.
Yes.
I was in the war, and I came back on the Windrush.
That's right. Thank you so much for
Thanks very much.
all the wonderful contribution you've made.
Hello, Jessie.
Pleased to meet
Oh,
you.
goodness, you look absolutely wonderful in your gold.
Ivan to Jessie, yes.
It's so lovely.
Majesty.
I thank you.
You survived this experience, did you?
Yes, yes.
You didn't have to sit for too long.
No, no, no.
And you didn't fall asleep in the middle of it. Very easy to do. And I hope you got on with the artist all right.
Very much.
I've adopted her, actually. I mean, literally, Carmen has been my life
Really?
because I've seen you since as far back as I can remember.
It's nice to meet you, and I'm praying for you.
You are kind.
Yes, and your family.
Well, I need all the prayers I can get, so
Yeah.
I'm most grateful.
Yeah.
How do you think about it? Because it's so difficult looking at yourself, isn't it?
It is so difficult looking at yourself, but I think she has captured my characteristics.
This is incredible.
Thank you.
Look at all.
So these are black tape?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm interested in migration, and the story of Windrush is about migration.
It's a real masterpiece.
Did it take you quite a lot of time to...
It was easy. It was his energy. His energy is what I wanted to capture.
I think it's so riveting how you've done it on, was it newspaper?
It's newspaper,
Yes.
but there's an amazing link to his story. He was wrapped in newspaper when he left Jamaica.
In 1955. Thank you very much for your contribution to the Windrush story.
What more can be learnt by remembering Windrush stories? For more exclusive interviews, go to bbc.co.uk/Windrush and follow the links to the Open University.